Welcome to U.S. Immigration TV. I'm Michael Gurfinkel. Well, perhaps the biggest fear among non-citizens is being deported or removed. Deportation can be like a death sentence to a person's American dream. They face the prospect of being removed from the U.S. and returned to their home country, perhaps never to be able to return to the U.S. again. And having a deportation order on your record could also greatly affect your ability to legalize your immigration status if you now have a way to apply. For example, perhaps you have an old deportation order, but you are now married to a U.S. citizen who wants to petition you. Or you have a U.S.-born child who has reached 21 years of age who can now petition you. Or perhaps years ago you were petitioned by an employer or a family member, and now your priority date is finally current and you're eligible to apply for a green card. However, if a person has an existing or an outstanding deportation or removal order, they cannot file for adjustment of status with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS. And this is because USCIS would not have what's called jurisdiction over the adjustment of status application, as the case is still technically with the immigration court. In those circumstances where a person improperly files an adjustment with USCIS, USCIS would typically just simply deny the adjustment application because it lacked jurisdiction. However, under Trump, if a person appears for their adjustment interview, it could be possible that the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, agents could be waiting to pick them up and take them straight to the airport because, as you know, they would have already had a final deportation or removal order. So if you have that old deportation order and then you file for adjustment and USCIS runs your alien number and then they find out that you have previously been ordered removed, you're ready to be taken and hauled away to the airport. Okay, so now you can see how important it is to know whether you were deported or not. So the question becomes, how can you find out about your immigration record? So by way of background, it was not that unusual for people to be totally unaware that they had been ordered deported or removed years ago. For example, in the past, some people applied for political asylum through the help of a fixer or an immigration consultant, being told that this is how you can get a work permit. And yeah, they may have been able to obtain that work permit or work authorization, but the immigration consultant may have had all the notices sent to the consultant's address, not to the person. And in many cases, because the person may not have been entitled to asylum, the asylum was denied and immigration served the deportation papers. But the notices went to the consultant's address, who never told the person about them. And therefore, they may have had a hearing, they didn't show up, and they were ordered deported in their absence. In other situations, a person may have applied for some benefit, but they moved, and they did not let the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, know about their new address. And therefore, notices were sent to the old address and, like that Elvis song, returned to sender. A hearing date could have been set in immigration court, but because the person never received the notice, they didn't know about the hearing, and they never showed up because they just were not aware of any hearing date. Nevertheless, if the notice was properly served, the hearing would go forward and the person would be ordered deported or removed in absentia or in their absence. So as a result, they now have a deportation order on their record, which prevents them from legalizing their status unless something is done to eliminate that deportation order. So how do you know? Well, here's a quick shortcut to find out if you have been ordered deported or finding out about your immigration status. So let's go through one by one. After the video, you can go to the computer, but here's a quick way to do it. First, go to Google and type in the phrase EOIR case status, that phrase. Now, usually the first hit on Google is for EOIR, automated case information. So click that link, and it should then bring you to the immigration court case status window, which is for automated case information. So once you get there, you're asked to enter your A number or your alien number. Now, the alien number is like a social security number, is in all other aspects, but it is in connection with immigration matters. That's how the government tracks you in immigration contexts, through the alien number. So as the Executive Office for Immigration Review, or EOIR, states, what's an alien number? The A number begins with the letter A and is followed by an 8 or 9-digit number. This number is printed in all DHS and EOIR correspondence. If your A number has 9 digits, enter those 9 digits. If your A number has only 8 digits, enter a 0 first, followed by the 8 digits. And don't type the letter A. Okay, so now, moving forward. After you type your A number and hit the enter button or knob, it will then provide case status. So if you don't have an immigration court case, the response would typically be no case found for this A number, which is good. You know, you should breathe a sigh of relief. That means you have not been in immigration court. You have not been ordered deported. So that's not hanging on your head. However, if you do have a court case, it's going to show the case status, whether it is a decision issued, an upcoming hearing date, etc. For example, for this particular A number we put in, it does indicate on this case that an immigration judge granted an application. So like if I'm an attorney and somebody's coming in with something like that, I would want to get a copy of that immigration file to determine what application was granted and how that may affect the person's immigration future. So if you have an alien number and you're not sure about your current immigration status in terms of whether you have a deportation order, you may want to go to that website and input your alien number like I just had illustrated. If it turns out you've been put in deportation proceedings, you should definitely consult with an immigration attorney before you file anything new, any new petition, any new applications with USCIS, to make sure you're not endangering yourself. And more importantly, an attorney can determine whether there can be something done to solve or cure or fix your problem. Perhaps bringing a motion in immigration court, getting the case reopened, getting it terminated. Perhaps the immigration order was improperly entered. You did not receive proper notice. Those are the sort of things that an immigration attorney can help you with. But the important thing is, if you ever wondered if you've been put in deportation, here's a quick way to go on the internet and find out for sure. And if you have been, like I said, consult with an immigration attorney. I hope you have found this video informative, maybe not necessarily for yourself, especially if you're a citizen, but maybe you know a lot of green card holders or non-immigrants with alien numbers, and they would find this helpful and would appreciate your forwarding it to them. Also, I will continue posting more videos, which I hope you find informative, informational, and helpful to you in your immigration journey, whether for yourself or for your family. So therefore, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Once again, I'm Michael Gurfinkel, and thank you for watching U.S. Immigration TV.